Hello, welcome to Spiritual Lights. Once again, it's Wednesday. It's time for us to get together and discuss a special topic tonight. So I'm going to ask our dear friends to introduce themselves. Elsa Rossi. Tonight we have Marcia Trajano with us, our guest speaker, and also Charles Kempf. So let's start with Marcia. Hello,
Hello.
Marcia. Thanks for
Hi.
accepting our invitation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Such an honor to be here with all of you and to be able to share this moment to talk to such an important topic.
Exactly. It's very nice to be here once again. Actually, it's very nice to be here every week because the topic is when we are reading, preparing, we are learning something new. Oh my God, this is it like that. And it's nice to share with others what we are preparing for ourselves. So enlightening ourselves, enlightening the world. That is the way that I'm seeing this. So it's nice to be here with Munir, you, Marcia, my dear, Charles Kemp, and you all, the audience.
Hello, Charles.
Yes, thank you, Elsa. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Munir. Indeed, it's something that we all pass through in our life, grieving, losing someone, a beloved one. So we will try to show how we can find resources in order to overcome this pain and even to see it in a different view and to even to uh, get more forces and energy through it.
Yes, the topic of tonight is a very important and very serious one. It's mourning, grief, and hope. So healing through Spiritist Consolation. And it's interesting because we as spiritists, we believe in survival. We know it's not the end. Death is not the end. But the process of grieving is a very important one. So it shouldn't be neglected. So I'd like to start with Marcia to hear what she has to say about that, about grieving and the moment, the special moment that we all go through,
Yeah.
and of course with the spiritist perception of it.
Yes. So thank you. Thanks, everyone. For me, the first thing that we need to bring is grieving is not only natural, but is an expected human reaction. So it's really where we ground ourselves, right? It's natural. But we are here to bring to all of you who are here with us today and who especially may be going through a difficult moment when a loved one passed, right? We're here to bring the good news, which is what we learned from Spiritism, which is um, the soul is immortal. So, with that, with the idea and the certainty, in fact, that um, this body will go through a physical death and a physical reincarnation, right? Each corporal existence brings a new body, but the spirit remains. The spirit, the soul is immortal. So, when we know that, we start to then have to touch upon other facts. So the transitional from the material to the spiritual dimension or plane, which is very important and impacts all of us. What do I say by that is that we knowing that we are who was it? I think his name was Pierre Chardin, right? That said that we are not a spirit, a body living a spiritual experience, but the opposite. We are a spirit living a material experience. And when we flip the coin, as simple as it is, it changes everything. But we're here not to talk about the immortality of the soul, we're talking about the grieving process. And I think it is. really important for all of us to understand that sadness, emptiness, or even longing for that loved one are really a fundamental part of human experience. So the key here is to understand how we experience this grieving process. And to me, another play with words, but not find yourselves into the despair and victimization with the pain that comes with it. Like, why me? But instead of why, let's talk about what for. Why do I need to learn when I'm going through this grieving process, which is a very difficult, right? There's a lot that we can discuss, but I'd love to also hear from perhaps Elsa and Charles on what does Spiritism tell us about grieving and loss.
Marcia, listening you, I was
Mm,
thinking as well when we have to one by one talk with someone that is in this position, sadness, etc. But most important, according to our spiritist study and according what we live nowadays, is keeping the memory of this,
mhm.
keeping the memory alive in a spirituality healthy ways means remembering them with
Yeah,
serenity, gratitude, and hope, rather than with despair, as you said, or
yeah,
excessive attachment. When our thoughts are filled with sadness or guilt, we can actually disturb the spirit who
that's
has
right.
already returned to the spiritual world, make it harder for them to find peace and adapt to their new reality. We say,
Mm,
rest in peace, but we hold them. We
yeah,
don't leave them rest in peace. For us, it's not only rest in peace forever. The passage finish and the waking up of the spirit in a spiritual environment, far from here or near or wherever, up or down, but is another, is the reality of the spirit in the spiritual world. So they
yeah,
can start again seeing the ways to see their beloved ones here, not crying, the damage, the idea, blaming God, why you took my, why me, as you said,
yeah,
victimizing themselves.
yeah,
And that's the way we should really, we have this bond of affection, of course, that we created between us and between the souls that we love so much. But we should think about the one that is in prison. Huh?
yeah, yeah,
And the door open, the person is free to go again to the society. The same thing is the spirit is free for the body to go to the new realms. We don't want our beloved ones to stay in a prison forever. They have the chance to go and be
mhm.
happy. That's it.
Yeah, may I say something else? Because when you're talking, Elsa, it triggered the memory of a little tiny book, and a lot of novices to Spiritism get to become interested in Spiritism after they read that book. I don't know if any of you have read it. It's called, I think it's Violets in the Window. Have you seen that? Have you read that?
Again, because I was reading something here now because
Yeah,
something comment is not
yes.
someone is doing there.
Yeah, so Violet in the Window, which is the story, and this is from
Ah, I see.
memory. Yeah,
Yes.
right. So a young woman, and she was a child, teenager, and she passes, she dies, physically speaking, and she would receive violets in her window, and that shows. Then she learns that those violets represented love from her parents, and I think it is so interesting to know that, to think about it. That and you were talking about, Elsa, despair, and I think we can have a whole different discussion within this discussion, but this idea that the experiencing love can be so dramatic, so difficult in the sense of attachment, which Spiritism also talks, right? My child is really not my child, but is a child, the spirit that was entrusted to me. But regardless of that, in that moment of small, it's transition, right? It's a separation that can be, soon we come back to see the loved one in the spiritual dimension. If we get a sense of despair, it's actually impacting that spirit, like you said, Elsa, so well, to leave the prison of that corporeal existence. And so let's think about it. We, all of us, whenever we feel sad or miss someone, let's send our violets, our roses, our flowers, all the good emotions that we keep, so that that person, and it doesn't matter if the person believes or not in reincarnation, that person will receive those good thoughts.
Good. Charles? Yeah, you know.
Indeed, and it's again the same change of paradigm. So Marcia told it. We are a spiritual being which is temporarily in a material body, but our real home, where we come from and where we go back to, is the spiritual home, the spiritual realm. Okay, so with this, I mean, a materialist,
Yeah,
when he loses someone, a beloved one, everything is finished. He put in the box under the earth and in the grave and finished. There is nothing anymore. That's a materialist view. But it is false, because we have now more and more evidences through EMI, through not a lot of mediumship and transmission, telepathy, and so on. So many evidences showing that we have a spirit, and that this soul we have is surviving to what we call the death. So it's a completely different way to see. And as Marcia told it, and Elsa as well, when we die, we get free from our physical body. So
yeah,
we see the thing in an opposite way. We should be happy to have somebody free again, you know. Of course, it's a separation, and this is always difficult separation, even for a spiritist. I must admit,
yeah,
when my father passed away, I knew his spirit was free of the body. I knew he could not be active anymore like he was all his life, and the age and whatsoever, and that he got free again. Nevertheless, it's a separation. I cannot have my father, I cannot touch him anymore like I touched him before. But what the Spiritist body of knowledge teaches as well, and the experience is, sometimes, not always, it cannot be systematic. We can have some communication from the beloved one through mediumship. We shall not become dependent of this, because
mhm,
uh, our beloved one will continue his life in the spiritual realm. We will continue our life in our earthly realm. The beloved one may still continue interested in helping us, in assisting us, in supporting us, whatever, or not. So every case is a case, and we should never force anything in this way. But
mhm.
in most of the circumstances, the beloved one can come and give some messages. I'm well. I'm now in another mission. He can give us some information and encourage us. This is generally what they are doing, to continue our mission that we accepted before incarnating. So we see the view is completely different. And this gives, of course, a lot of resources to overcome such trial. And there are even some models. For instance, Elisabeth Kubler-Ross,
Yes,
she defined 5 stages of grief, which is uh, first the denial,
yeah,
the anger, second, third, the bargaining, fourth, the depression, and fifth, the acceptance.
mhm,
And we can understand that deny anger, bargaining, and depression do not really help us. The quickest we come to the acceptance, the best. And this is exactly what this spiritist body of knowledge, all this information of the soul, of the spiritualist paradigm, and the survival of the soul after the death, and so on, are resources that help us to go quicker through these 4 stages and to come quicker and earlier to the 5th stage, where we recover the balance. And that's basically it. I mean, changing the point of view, we see it in a completely different way.
And I would say, Charles, I recently read the book by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and it was very interesting because for everyone here, I would say, read the book. It's it's not a spiritist book, but with the title On Death and Dying, right? Written 1969. It has changed the face of how the medical caretakers, doctors, etc., treat the dying. And that's not the point of what we're doing here, but how important it is to understand, like you said, Charles, the curve, right? Everyone, it's a universal curve, which is really interesting. Every change, every transition that we go through, we experience. But understanding that we go through, there are 2 aspects. Number one, if you are close to that person, be aware, right, Shazzy? Because it can get to anger, it can get to depression. It's like, why are you flip-flopping? You can't you deal with your grief linearly? No, we go through several, including bargaining with God. Do something different, and until you get to a point that you go up and you're able to accept. But also the other aspect of it is to understand, you that are going through that curve, you may not recognize yourself, and it's okay. So either way, it's a very interesting book. I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yes, it's interesting. Some people say that what we normally, the reaction that we have is because of the departure of a loved one. So every time we, all of a sudden, especially in some case of sudden death, we no longer have that person in our life. So it creates an emptiness. And people say, for basically most of us, or all of us, it is a natural reaction because it's the absence of the person in our life. Although spiritists know, it's not the end. It's in the spiritual world, and life goes on. His time is up. He, has done what he was supposed to do. I watched our friend Alexandre Caldini talking about his books, and he said,
I love it.
well, we
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, he said very briefly, I'm here for, some months, some years, who knows, 100 years, or so we don't know what we came here for, how long it's going to last, and then we return. And this departure creates an emptiness in those who love us. And it's natural that we go through the process. Everyone should experience it, but should know that it has a starting date and a date to end, to finish, and we should take the most of that so that you won't leave these unpleasant sensations or even psychological problems for the future.
Yeah.
And in the perception of you all, how could spiritism contribute, in cases of people, I wouldn't say who are already spiritists, but those who are not spiritists? Because some advice that we get from psychologists, for instance, never goes and say, oh, what do you experience? No, there's no reason for you to suffer so much. It's not the end, and you should cope with that, and life goes on. So what should be the right way to approach people who are grieving the departure of a loved one if they haven't I got the teachings that we have from Spiritism. Let's start with Marcia again.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And just, I don't know that the book that you mentioned, Alexander Caldini's book, is in English, unfortunately, but it's just another plug for everyone. It's a great idea. He is Spiritist, and he witnessed, correct me if I'm wrong, when he experienced a daughter of good friends that lost a father or mother, and he was like, oh my gosh, and I think this is the gist of your question, right? Oh my gosh, I'm suffering, I see her suffering, and I'm a spiritist. How can I provide all the gems, all the knowledge that I know to help her cope? And so the book is very accessible. In fact, I bought mine in on an airport, about to get to a trip, and I read the whole book in one go because it's just so easy to understand. But I think for anyone here who is a spiritist, this is a really important question. How do you offer the knowledge that you already have to those that may or may not have it, right? Most likely not have it. And there are many ways to do it. For me, I say there is a toolkit that we can use. And in that toolkit, it's as simple and accessible by all. It is prayer, right? It is understanding the concepts, which requires a little bit of the cognitive awareness of the immortality of the spirits. But most importantly, ask and you will be consoled. There will be your spirit guides that will be there, giving that warm embrace to you to help you in the moment of separation. But there is so much more, and I think it changes perhaps on, let's say, um, Charles, you mentioned your parent, right, who left, and it leaves that loss, that I guess is the hole in your heart. And when my mom passed, I dealt by crying uninterrupted 24 hours. Uninterrupted, just it was terrible. And after I did this, then I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to help everybody else in the family who was unconsoled. But a lot of it is being taken care by all that I already know, and be present. Listen, I think for those who are going through grieving, you need to just verbalize and be all of us to be aware that the loss is real. We cannot expect, even if I went through the same as you, Charles, with the loss of my a parent, our our pain does not follow. It's not a formula that, oh, you should have a pain of 6 if this is the circumstance, or pain level 2. No, each one of us deal with it separately. But what we can do is be there, listen, look, and offer all those tools, such as healing, spiritual healing. I think Charles mentioned we could indeed have the ability to receive messages from those who passed, or actively using prayer for us to feel better. And I think it's very interesting, Charles. It's a question that, if I may, just real quickly, somebody that I know quite well, and she actually is gone, but she's from another country, came to the US with her husband to Disney, right? So she's spirited. There, the husband was spiritist, and she was a spiritist as well. But they come and they go to Orlando to visit, and he passes right there. And all her knowledge just collapsed, because it was a sense of, this is unreal, there's something wrong. And she was just unconsoled for 4 months, until she received a message from him, almost like doing this. Wake up, honey. Come on. Time to go back to living. You cried enough time. I'm here, and you know I'm here. And I thought it was very interesting, this exchange of the spirit of the husband talking through a mediumship to his wife that was unconsoled. Come on, it's time to get up and move on. And she did. It was almost like a switch that went up or down, and she was good after that. So that too, not, and you mentioned, right? It's not something that we can say, okay, my whomever passed, I want to go to a mediumistic, a spiritist group to get a message. It's not like that. But it sometimes we are deserving of a message like that.
It's beautiful what you are saying, Marcia.
Uh,
Yes, because I went once at this situation when my husband passed away.
mm,
Was really some experience in my home with my kids, 15 ones, 1 year old Giovanna, Daniel 19, almost 19, Janine almost 18. But it was, we were in all of us enveloped with such a serenity that
mhm.
Janine, even 1 week before, she
Uh,
prepared a series of music that was a cassette
yeah.
to in order to use when Papa was about to depart. And as we are spiritist, he was a spiritist, and we know that the bond of affection that unites us to those who, or my husband, to those who have departed, continues.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
which, as you said, prayer, good thoughts, and the way we live our lives.
Yes.
Not mourning all the time, but keeping their memory alive in a spiritually healthy way means remembering them with serenity. And some people teach us that with gratitude, be kind to others, find a voluntarily job with kids if you lost a kid,
Mm.
or elderly people, or visit people in the hospital, doing something, offer your consolation to others to be consoled as well. That is what Francis of Assisi said, né? Vamos
Uh-huh.
consolar. That is when we feel our thoughts with this sadness or guilt, we can actually disturb our beloved ones. But when you feel, on the other hand, with goodness, try to be good to others, think with a prayer, send good healing, and see your beloved ones enveloped in light, in peace, you as well are receiving help. Né? And you, of course, we are not machines. We have sentiments. It's
Yes.
good to grieve at a certain point, but because we can say no, not happy and carry on. No, we are not machines. And also, if you do that, for sure, later on, something will explode in our health. It's better to follow the process, but until certain point, as you said before, né? not not be more sad than the other one that already departed. And we, for sure, we can do that, but not blaming God. That's a lot of people do. Why me blaming God? But understand that everyone has time, every amount of fluids that we use, né? Vital fluids to live um, our life. Some, of course, is using these fluids in a different way and probably, or I don't know, can go back a little bit earlier for the spiritual world. But the
Mhm.
others that are an accident, né? A repentant accident that are unexpected, or illness long, as my husband, 1 year and 8 months, that was, né, the vital fluid was shrinking, and gone. A lot of things happen, but for sure, our side here is to understand that in God's laws, nothing is wrong. Everything is correct. So we have to follow and accept what is happening in our lives in a different way. Of course, prayer can help us, healing, working as a volunteer, Spirit Center or church or in your city, find something to do in order really to give the time to the time.
Yes.
I interrupted Charles. I think Charles was about to say something.
Yeah, and we have to think a little bit better. Huh? You told it very wise, very well, Elsa. Huh? The love, the true love, is eternal. Does not die. It continues even when one is incarnated and the other one is in the spiritual world. And true love does not mean possess.
Mm-hmm.
Our husband, our wife is not ours. Our child is not ours. It does not belong to us. This sense of possession is not true love. The true love is willing the best for the beloved one. And this goes very far away. For instance, you are married and one dies. We see it a little bit in the No Solar movie, which is also an example of this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really love the one who survived, do you want him to stay single? Do you want to forbid him to marry again, for instance? This is not love, it's possession. And even, this true love will survive whatever happens. This true love. And this is what you shall seek. And this gives us also a lot of resources to cope and to overcome grieving.
It's interesting when you talk about possession and the pain and suffering resulting from that misguided concept of possession. So it's not that you're grieving, right? You're grieving the no longer being physically close to you. You're grieving because you lost something and this is something very interesting because it's all ingrained in you're not even aware, but that's my whatever, right? But I think it's interesting if I may share an experience long ago. This is more than 20 years ago. I became a volunteer in hospices, right? To help with those that had here in the U.S. 3 to 6 months to live, and so the training that I had to go through, and I have to say, 20 hours of classes, and it was very intense. And we do this and we learn that, but the worst part about it was a simple exercise which we had to mimic in our minds a fire, right, in all the volunteers, and they had to start peeling away things that would go into the fire. So it started easy. Oh, a car, done. And your, I don't know, your house, go. And we can cope. We're not materialists, right? And then it kept going to the point that you had nothing else, but you still had to give up. And when it came to all of us to give up our loved ones, a child, a parent, a best friend, um, we all fell apart. We had maybe 30, 40 people, and everybody started to cry because that continued loss became something that we're not prepared. And maybe the discussion here, and this is just a thought, is how can we be better prepared to go through loss, right? Or the shift of it is exactly getting from you, Charles. It's prepare and change our way of thinking to just remove the word possession. I don't own anything, right? I don't own anything whatsoever. So if we live a life that you don't own material things, you don't own people, you don't own even philosophies or intellectual products that you consume, nothing you own, then you don't lose anything. Right? But it's very interesting, and I experienced that firsthand so long ago, and I still can remember that moment when we're all dealing with, oh no, I can't. Yes, we can, right? And we will, all of us will go through this experience as we're talking about.
Yes, it made me think also that when we came to the physical world, our parents were already here. So we were not part of their physical life. And our
Hmm.
kids, they came, after, getting married. So knowing someone, getting to know someone, establishing a relationship with that person, then kids came. So we see how things, are constantly changing. And as you said, Marcia, we don't know anything, anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Our parents existed before us here in the physical world. Our kids, they came after. My brother, my sister, one came before me, the other came after me. So we see that things are not, set and done forever like that, and they are mine, they will be mine forever. No. So we should be prepared, especially here in the physical world, for
Mhm.
these changes. But as the three of you actually mentioned, the love, the links of love, the bonds of love that we established, these will be eternal.
Mhm.
You may be here for a while where we have the company of the loved ones, but certainly in the spirit world where, we have our homeland. And so we see that from the spiritist perspective, we suffer, yes, because that person is no longer part of my life. And sometimes we have time to prepare ourselves, as Elsa mentioned, over a year preparing yourself, trying to accept that one day that person will go and will leave these emptiness. And so let's prepare ourselves to cope with that. But sometimes the person just go around the corner to buy, something and never comes back. You see, so I think this is shocking. This, I think, affects us most. And it's not just the fact that the person is gone. It's the fact that, there was no prior, information or whatever warning, you see. So the importance also of us understanding, giving the right value for this very moment, knowing that it won't stay like this forever,
Mhm.
and I think it's also, from this perspective, it gives us also some instruments to help other people, to be with them and to understand that their grieving is not for us to change their way to grieve, but
Mhm.
for us
Mhm.
to give support so that they can go through their grieving the way they understand it, the way they experience it.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
see? That's why people say the best thing to do is go give them a hug and say, I'm here for you.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
full stop. So the person
yeah.
say, oh, he's a spiritist. He believes in spirit, but he's here with me, supporting me in my special moment, the way I'm experiencing it, the way I understand it. So I
Mhm.
think as spiritists, the best thing to do is, I'm here for you. And I consider this to be a kind of empathy where you put yourself in the person's shoes and, offer your presence there with them.
Yeah, I think one of the things that it may be interesting for us to also think about it, this is a very interesting moment that we live, a life that technology, for example, is steadily taking away our need to be working on certain areas, right? Manual labor is becoming less and less of a thing, and we're now spending most of our time in intellectual type of work. But even then, with artificial intelligence, it becomes easier and easier. And yet, with all the time that we have, what is the one most precious item in our lives? It's time. We don't have enough time. And the time that we have, we are becoming distracted. So it's a very interesting paradox here for us to think. If we know that the physical death is inevitable, And we know that the bonds that we have will remain, and we will meet again those that we love, if not here, there. Why don't we really take the time to be present, right? There's a whole movement, the mindfulness movement. Why is it so hard for us to honor um, being with that person, right? And honor their presence, their growth, spiritual growth, our spiritual growth, and together we can develop the story that is our narrative, right? Our journey.
Yeah.
One thing that
Yeah. Go on, Elsa. Sorry.
thinking quickly here about when a mother comes and ask me in early morning 5 years ago, Elsa, where the soul of my life is now. Her daughter committed suicide
Oh,
10 hours ago,
mm, yeah.
during the night, Sunday to Monday. And she's took all the night with police and the things, etc., doctors, etc. And she was desperate, not spiritist person, knowing nothing about spiritual life, etc. And she said, I don't know who gave me your number. And I was thinking about it, my daughter in Brazil that was a problem at that time. And it was a mother whose child, 13 years old, committed suicide in the
Yeah.
bathroom. And the consolation to say things for this mother, oh my God, is not as something easy, because she needs to know more. I asked her to come to have a dialogue with her, explain to her, because I told her the Spiritism teaches that people that take their own life is not condemned forever. It's
Sure.
still living spiritual world,
Yeah. Yeah.
far
Yeah.
from condemnation.
Mm,
As we are all brothers and sisters, although she said, I gave everything to my daughter, the best college, the best this, best that, best travels, first class travel, etc. But I don't. She didn't understand why the daughter took. Of course, a problem with the college, bullying, etc. Yeah, the child took her own life, and to
mhm.
tell this mother about consolation, about the life goes on, about the living spirits never die, etc., etc. Took ages, more than 3 months. Talked to her. She came to the Spiritist Center and accepted, and it was easy for her to understand when the explanation was meeting what the expectation, and it was nice. Thanks God for that. But it's a lot of cases like that. How you can tell someone that you beloved one departed through killing he or herself. The pain comes really terrible for this heart of mother.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it took almost a year for to be calm, to accept and not blame God, in order to understand that their life goes on. And her daughter can come back anytime when she will be ready to
Mhm.
be probably or not a daughter again,
Yeah.
the same mother. Who knows? Nothing is written in stone.
Yeah. Charles, what do you think? Because I
Mhm.
know that suicide is a deeply, deeply tragic and painful event to all of us that are around that individual that could not cope with such amount of despair. And that's what we need to see, right? It's somebody who's suffering so much that cannot grapple with being alive and mistakenly wants to stop the pain through suicide. But we do know that Spiritism has some very um, difficult stance around suicide, but how do we console those that lost someone through suicide?
The best, as we discussed last month, the best is to prevent as far as possible
Mhm.
suicide to happen. Now, when someone is taking his life, of course, we know that it's difficult for everyone, for the one who lives and for the one who still are
Mhm.
here. And this is exactly the moment when we should not stay too long in this anger or or even depression phases. Why? Because our beloved ones may need help in the spiritual world. So
Yes.
the fact to be aware of that and to start actively praying and vibrating and so on uh, is an action that we can do in order to help this soul after having passed through this difficult trial. So
Yeah.
again, the best way is instead of claiming and anger and depression and whatever, let's be proactive. What is the best we can do? And the fact to pray for, to help, to vibrate or to send good thoughts, you call it however you want, is a positive action that will benefit not only the one who passed away in these conditions, but also the ones which are staying here.
Yeah. Those
It's
left
one of
behind,
the best.
right? Yeah. There's a book and a movie, and it's quite dated, but beautifully done. What Dreams May Come, right? Which is about death of two children and the suicide of the mother who could not cope with grief. And it's of course visually stunning, based in a lot of what they call, what we could call it, hell, uh, based on Dante's Inferno, or what we see from Dante's Inferno. But it's just beautiful, and it has helped, that movie and that book, both have helped many people to understand those two sides, right, Charles? The one that is in so much pain that goes, and those that stay in so much pain who are left behind. So I think it's really important for us to understand that. And if you here in this audience, if you are going through so much pain, please know there is help. There are many hotlines, for suicide hotlines available, and someone who's trained will be there to help you get away from that moment of despair, right? And to me, prayer is the best way to do it. We are children of a merciful God, and as such, God will never leave us alone, even in the worst time of our lives.
Yeah, it's true, because sometimes the pain is just too much, and the person
Mhm,
can't cope on his or on her own with that. It's
mhm,
overwhelming. And as you said, it's important to know where to, ask for help, because,
mhm.
for the person, he or she may feel incapable of doing anything about it. It's just too much. And also, yeah, you mentioned already, we shouldn't forget that at the other end, there's also someone who is linked to the group, who is
Yeah,
also going through a process, the spirit who has just returned to the spiritual world, who is affected by these period of a mourning or mourning or grieving that the family group is going through. Is affected as well, you see. And so also the importance, because when we help those who stayed here, we also help those who are on the other side. Because you mentioned the book Violet's on the window, and
yeah,
we clearly see the link. Also, André Ruiz in his books, he also mentions situations where on a kind of TV set, the
mhm,
spirit would see images of the
yeah,
loved ones
yeah,
and could feel the anxiety, the suffering. So this link is there. We shouldn't forget. And it should help on the one side those who stay to know that yes, the link is there. We may not see the person, we may not use our physical senses to interact with the person, but certainly the link is there, the bond is there. And on the other side, whatever we do will affect them. If we are happy and send them a good thought, certainly that will help them in their new
mhm,
phase in the spiritual world. And it's going to be to bring positive results for the whole group.
yeah. One thing that I want to say here, and that's the hard part, I was kind of hoping that Charles would talk about it. You did not hear my hint, huh? But is the fact that Spiritism does teach us that suicide is a very serious, I can call it offense against life, right? But I think it's important for us to also bring to us that it's not an irreversible action for the spirit, right? That spirit that interrupted his journey on earth will go through the law of progress and will evolve, although it may have interrupted and go through the consequences of that interruption. So this is for the one who did commit suicide. For those left behind, I think, Charles, you mentioned anger and sadness, and I would put another one, which is guilt, right? There is this question of why wasn't I good enough? Why wasn't I more careful? Why did not I not pay attention? There's so many whys and what we did not do. So I think it's important to also embark in the journey of forgiveness, forgiveness, so that whoever you are going through that loss, that you're able to teach through your self-love and self-compassion for that individual, that soul that commits suicide, that continues to also have self-compassion, right? So I think it's important for all of us to pray in the pain, through the pain.
Yeah. I just want to say hello to the friends who are here with us. ADE Japan, Hazinur Rahman Science Academy, our dear friend Sila, Blue Thunder, Juana Mora, Rehelia, Rome. So hello to you all. Thank you very much. It's good to know you are here with us in the studio. And that's time for us to make our announcements before we finish. Time has gone past very, very quickly. And I'll make the announcements and then go through everyone just to say the final words. Next week, the 19th of November, we'll have here as our special guest speaker a dear friend, Rodrigo Ortega. The topic will be Faithful Service in Quiet Times, the hidden work of the Spiritist worker. So I invite you all to be here with us, same time next Wednesday. On Saturdays, we hold an online study of the Mediums book. It's hosted by Charles Kempf, who is here with us, our dear friend Guilherme Dias, and myself. Saturday, 10:30 a.m. UK time. You are free to join us. There is a QR code here or the ID and passcode for Zoom. So you are all welcome to join us. We also invite you to visit the site of the Spiritist magazine. It's very good what you're going to find there, and pay them a visit. We also want to thank the Spiritists. Say about the Spiritist study groups in the United Kingdom. To thanks through the British Union of Spiritist Society, and also the movement, Spiritist movement in France. And finally, we want to thank very dearly Kardec Radio for allowing us to bring to you not just the Spiritual Light, but many other programs that we have, and we want to express our gratitude for this opportunity that they grant to us all. So That's all we had as the announcement for today. So, Marcia, thank you very much indeed. Your final words, please.
Yeah, we talked about so many aspects of grief and loss. I was just going to say um, prolonged grief, and I think we start talking about it, but prolonged grief has a potential negative impact to the spirit that left, that went back to our spiritual home, right? But the other aspect to this, so we need to be careful about it, but the other aspect to this is expressing our sorrow in a healthy way can be done best if we practice through prayer and in reflecting on this spiritual path that we all go through, right? Regardless if it's in the spiritual dimension or in the material dimension. So it is something that we need to be prepared, and we need to do with serenity, with peace, with calm, with harmony, so that only love stays between us and those who left.
Yeah, thank you so much. Elsa, your final words, please.
I'd like to direct for all that they are listening us and invite them to send the link to others because this live is very nice. And I'd like to say that in time, pain turns into understanding and sorrow into compassion for all those who suffer in silence. Spiritism calls us to replace guilt with charity and despair with hope, because in God's universe, no soul is ever lost to the ones that their beloved ones departed through suicide. So that is my embrace you all in my heart and gratitude until next week.
Thank you, Elsa. Charles, your final words, please.
Yes, so it's as if you would say, see you soon, because the time, of course, we are here on the earth for a journey of some decades, or let's say a small century, but this is a second in front of the eternity, and it goes so quick, and the most important is that we work on what is the most essential, is our own betterment, that we cannot delegate. Nobody can become better on our behalf, or nobody can stop moving on our behalf, or nobody can forgive on our behalf. These are what we have to work ourselves, and also encourage the beloved one to go the same path, so that we can progress together and stay together as much as possible. So because death is just a transformation. It's just the body gets free from the physical body. The soul gets free from the physical body, but the soul does not die. It is immortal. So let's keep that in mind, and be conscious that the life goes on. The mission is not finished for us, so let's work on the mission.
Thank you, Charles. I also want to say some final words, just to remind us that our family here, our group here in the physical world, is just a tiny fraction of our spiritual family, our spiritual group. We belong to a much larger group. And all these events in our lives, for those who stay, those who depart, this group is there with us. And when we pray, when we try to bring serenity at every moment, we join this group who has the right perception of what is going on and conditions to truly help. So we shouldn't forget that. We have a much larger family in the spiritual world. And of course, whatever happens to us and to our group here affects everyone. And they know that, and they take care of each one of us. So by praying, by trying to keep serenity at every moment, we try to connect and draw ourselves closer to them. They are always here for us. So, especially in these difficult moments. Well, Thank you all very much indeed. Thanks, Marcia, for your time, for accepting the invitation, for your contribution, wonderful contribution. Elsa, Charles, is always very nice. It's marvelous to share the studio with you and, to spend this 1 hour discussing the topics with, so much input from each one of you. And so I want to invite all those who are watching us to be here again next week. There will be more, a different topic, but of course, always bring some enlightenment to all of us. So thank you all very much indeed, and hope to see you in a week's time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.